It's a cat. Alex drew this for me. This is cat. It's a cat for Catherine. So thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited that you're here and I hope you guys are excited too. I've been meaning to do this workshop for such a long time and it means a lot to me because a little sad background story about it. My grandma got sick last year and she passed. And one thing that I realized from that is I'll never be able to cook or make or eat the food that she makes ever again. And instead of, like wallowing in my feelings, I wanted to do something about it and to make sure that people don't feel the same way that I had to, feel the same way I did or go through the same thing I had to go through. And so I thought of this to create a workshop where I kind of pass on like authentic Vietnamese dishes and recipes from my family to yours. And when I came up with the name, I wanted something, as a Vietnamese American, I wanted it to be meaningful not only in Vietnamese, but also in English. So cooking like mẹ. So mẹ means mom in Vietnamese. And I wanted it to exemplify the two phases of this workshop. So the first one is learning, and the second one is doing it yourself so that you can pass it on and to continue that kind of tradition and those recipes. So cooking like mẹ, and then cooking like me. So that was a little thing about it. Didn't know if you could get that from the title, but that was the intention when I first thought of the title. So these recipes for this entire series is recipes that I grew up eating, that my mom has created throughout these years. So I hope you enjoy them, but I really encourage you to go home and learn recipes from your loved ones and your families as well, so you can keep that going on. And to keep the food alive and their memories alive as well. So thank you for coming. That is my little spiel. And now we're gonna get started. So Chè Thái is a very popular and refreshing Vietnamese dessert. And it has this blend of creaminess in it because of the milk, or half and half, or whatever type of, you can use coconut milk if you're lactose intolerant, but yeah, half and half or milk. And it has also very tropical flavors as well, like Longan, Lychee, coconut jelly, jackfruit, water chestnuts, and Toddy Palm seeds. So yeah, we're just gonna run into it, and I'm basically gonna be teaching you guys how to use everything and get familiar with it as well. So feel free to just watch me if that helps, but yeah, so I would recommend you guys watch me first, and then I'll give you time to do it yourself. Okay? Sounds good? Okay. So first off, what I'm going to do is, can you hand me that lighter, please? The lighter, the red lighter. So here I'm gonna boil some water. You just get some hot water from the sink. So now I'm just gonna boil water because that's gonna take a while. So now we're gonna start on the cutting, right? Yeah, so be careful with the fire. Some safety stuff is the fire, the knives, just be careful when you cut it. I think that's it, just the fire and the knife. Is anyone allergic to anything? No, right? Speak now or forever. You wrote on the waivers, right? Okay. So I'm gonna start with these jackfruit, okay? Has anyone tried jackfruit before or not tried jackfruit before? Oh, you haven't tried jackfruit. You can try today. So what I do is I open up the cans and you just take it to the sink and drain. And you can wash it if you want, just in water, just rinse it around and then pour it out, but you don't have to. And so when you take the jackfruit out, it should look like this, right? Yeah. So here's the jackfruit. I'm just gonna cut a few. I've already had some cut right here. So what you want to do is just lay it flat so it's easy to cut, and then you cut into strips. It's really dependent on if you like thinner or thicker strips. Thinner is better, I feel like, because it actually gets infused in everything in the milk. But if you like the jackfruit taste and you want it to pop out more, you can always make it thicker. So I just cut thin strips. And then when you're done with that, you can put it into this mixing bowl that I put for you guys. And just put the rest of the jackfruit in there. Okay? Okay? So here's the jackfruit. You can cut more into it if you want. Then the second one I do is lychee. Has anyone here not tried lychee before? Everyone has. It's in boba and stuff. So same thing with the lychee. You just open the cans, drain them, and you can also, if you can, find the actual fruit. It takes a while to unpit them, but you can also feel free to use fresh fruit if you want. But I think these taste just fine and really convenient. I've taken these to work parties, really easy to make, and I just cut them into like halves. Really easy to make, everyone loves them. You can always, substitute what you like, add more. I have a lot of friends who love the coconut jelly, so I add more jars of that. But you basically just cut them in half. And I have more in lychee here. So that's that. And then Longan, same thing with that. These just open and then you drain. They are in the same family, the Longan and the Lychee. You can find these fresh too in the Asian supermarkets if you can, but if you can't, these cans will be just fine. Yeah, so you open them, take some out, and you're doing the same thing. You're just gonna cut them into halves and put them into the mixing bowl. So here, I have them already cut. You can add them in. And then the Toddy Palm seeds, these are a little trickier to cut just because they're a bit slimier. But for me, this is the trick that I use to cut them open. So you cut them into halves, drain them. They're gonna be a bit bigger. So Toddy Palm seeds come from the fruit, like the toddy palm, and they look like this. You can get them sliced if you want them already pre-sliced in the can. There's options like that. But I like these better because for me, I feel like it's easier. So there's actually a hole, because that's where the seed should be in. I hold that and I just basically cut down the line to open it up like this. Okay? And then just put them down, and then same thing, you cut them into smaller slices. But yeah, like I said, you can always buy the pre-sliced ones if you want as well. So I just cut them into slices, put them into here. I already have them here. So that's that. And then the last thing is the water chestnuts. These look a bit different as well, and they're cut different as well. Okay, so yep, drain them. You can wash them if you want, up to you. So open them up, and they're gonna look like these, water chestnuts, okay? And how I cut these, I don't know if you can see, but I use these, the bigger ones. And you're basically gonna cut them into like threes, so like that. And so you cut them into threes, okay? And then I hold them together and I turn it. And then I cut three the other way, so that they become like cubed, okay? So that's what I do. I already cut some here. So you can add, oh, yeah, you can add them in. But what I also like doing is I put tapioca starch on them. So for me, I like to add them like in here too, if you just like the crunchiness. But the reason why we use water chestnuts, so there's another fruit, the dessert in Thailand, and they use pomegranate seeds. But for us, we use faux pomegranate seeds. Okay, so now that everyone's raw sugar candy is in the boiling, into the boiling water, you're just gonna let that wait. And so now I'm gonna continue with the water chestnuts. Before you actually add it in, you can add the tapioca starch. You can also add it, it's whatever you want, but for me, what I do is I coat it with tapioca starch. So it's chewy, similar to pomegranate, okay? So what you do is you basically put your water chestnuts into this container here. And then I have food coloring, and you're going to stain it. You're gonna add food coloring to it. And you're basically gonna mix it around. It's only a couple squirts and you already see that it's already changing. You wanna just coat everything. Make sure they're all red. Okay, like that. And then, I already opened up this one, so I'm gonna use it, but you guys can use that one. And what you do is you add the tapioca starch onto it. And wait, can you guys watch me for a bit? So you add it, just coat it. You don't want to see the bright red color anymore, so you're just going to mix it around. Keep mixing it until you don't see the red color anymore. It's like peeking through, but you want to coat it evenly so that it's not really showing anymore. And then just mix it, mix it, mix it. It's better to use a bigger bowl just so you don't get the tapioca starch everywhere. Okay, so you do that, and since I'm just showing you guys first, I'm gonna pour the water, the sugar water. Just make sure you mix it all. You can mix it with the spoons if that helps. So you mix it around just to dissolve it. Okay, so just mix it around till it looks like this. And then you could take your colander and you just put it under, and I basically give it a gentle shake, and then I add it back in just because there's some still peeking through and I want it to coat evenly. Okay, so that's that. Now that our water is done, I'm going to pour it out. And just be careful because it is boiling water. Okay, then I'm going to give this a rinse because we're going to be using it again. I want to actually add more because when you add the tapioca covered water chestnuts, you want to give it enough to submerge the whole thing. So maybe six cups. Put it back on the fire and let that boil. And then when it boils, we can add this in. Okay, so in the meantime, you guys can start cutting your fruits. You can add everything into the mixing bowl, just not the water chestnuts for now, so that I can teach you how to cover it with tapioca starch. Okay, you guys can go on and do it yourself. Oh, is it? Okay, so now my water is boiled. Yours is still cooling with the rock sugar water, but let me know when that's cooled so we can start boiling more water. But yeah, so since I poured it out, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna prepare a container of water, preferably cold water, okay? Can everyone see me? I'm gonna start with this. So just wash this, wash your container when you're done with it. But I'm basically going to be, I'm gonna be pouring just section by section. You don't wanna pour all of it, but you're gonna put some of the water chestnuts into the boiling water and mix it so they don't clump together, okay? So you give it a good mix. And how I know when it's done is when it rises to the top and becomes more translucent. So because I have a small batch, I'm just gonna add all of it. But since you guys have a bigger batch, you can just take it little by little. Thank you. So just give it a good mix and wait for it to boil again. It'll start rising to the top, and when that happens, you're gonna scoop them out and put them into the cold water. Just stop it from, so. No, you just use that one. So you can see they're like starting to rise to the top, but I want it to be like fully cooked. Yeah. Okay, can everyone see it? It's starting to boil here. So I scoop it, I put it into the water. Just cold water? Just water, yeah, just cold water. And then when that's cooled, you can add this into your mixing bowl. So it's like one of my coworkers' favorite ingredients after I made this. She asked for coconut jelly just to eat now. So when you can open it, you just add them in. Just drain it and add them in. Okay? So once you're done with all of the fruits, your water chestnuts, it's all good. Here is where you add the fun stuff. Well, for me, the fun stuff is dairy. So you can add the half and half. If you can't eat dairy, there's coconut milk. I do have coconut milk. It'll be worth it. You just ate it all. Okay, so now you can add the half and half. It's really up to you. I like adding like half of it of the bowl, like depending on the container that you use. I use half of that and half of this. If you like it more dense, you add less liquids. If you want it more, for a bigger group, then you add half of the milk. And then you can add the sugar water that you already made. Yeah, you can add the sugar water that you made, and it's up to you. If you like it sweeter, you can add more. If you don't like it that sweet, you don't have to add that much. So, and then you can save this for the next time that you make it. So you can put it in the fridge, and when you need to, you don't have to boil it again. You could just use what you've already made. Okay? So yeah, I gave you guys a little bit of a sample of how I make it, but feel free to make your own. If you like it sweeter, add more. And yeah, if you need help, I'll go around. So, good?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I think it's pretty good.